Going into this module, this is what I was currently defining my thesis work as. It's me investigating non-human centered designs to extend body in order to provide an alternative framework for how we apply the ongoing research being done into the manipulation and augmentation of the human body. Starting off, I chose to separate and define current technologies into three categories: implants, orthotics, and prosthetics. As I began investigating the roles of each of these, however, their functionalities began to intersect and overlap and become more muddled when I began to intertwine the mechanical nature of these designs with possible organic counterparts. An example of this is viewing tissue swapping or the replacement of heart valves with pig valves as a form of organic implant not dissimilar to a mechanical implant like a pacemaker. To start, I began a dialogue with a biomedical PhD student at Cornell, and following discussions with her, I knew I needed to have a much better grasp of the technical knowledge around extended body, and she shared with me a number of papers, research documents, and analyses of prosthetics to start me off with. These are all summaries and analyses of different types of commercially available prosthetics and orthotics for different parts of the body, made using different manufacturing methods and that are achieved in different ways. To summarize this, current prosthetic design has many limitations, and most of them are self-imposed by a medical or engineering-first approach that ignores human factors in how they are designed. What's more is the activation of these prosthetics is either through body activation or from an external power source, and both of these methodologies have their own trade-offs and limitations that are only compounded by strict adherence to human form and functionality. Next, I began a deep dive, perhaps too deep of a dive, into biological manipulation of the body. Most of this research focused around inquiries into a relatively new technology called CRISPR that allows for the direct selective editing of the human genome. By analyzing research papers, as well as reading interviews with biological futurists, biological ethicists, and even the co-discoverer of CRISPR, Jennifer Doudna, I concluded that it's not feasible to even be making adaptive changes to the human body in the near future, let alone incorporating non-human physiologies into that of a living person. The near future of this technology, according to Doudna, is a monogene or single gene therapy for the treatment of genetic diseases, not the manipulation of advantageous traits in the body, which are interconnected to multiple interlinked genes. Following the dead end of biological manipulation of the body to extend its forming capabilities, I began looking into the field of neuroprosthetics. This field currently only exists within the research phase, but it alleviates all of the activation concerns present in current prosthetics by mapping electrical signals within the brain and translating it into code that can be used to control external prostheses. The most interesting aspect about this technology is that its limitation is human thought and not human form, so it could theoretically be used to control non-human technological designs. Following this research, I could see my design going into one of three routes on the basis of how invasive the design would be in relation to the human body. Contemporary extended body in the form of prosthetics and orthotics is purely temporary, whereas biological manipulation and implants require varying degrees of invasive procedures to be done in order to be used. I believe that the field of neuroprosthetics are a nice compromise on being minimally invasive while also providing a plethora of design opportunities to extend or alter the body via mechanical means. Following the technical research, I began looking into identifying contemporary users who are either incorporating non-human adaptability into themselves or those interested in non-human functionality. This included inquiries into fringe groups like otherkin, that includes people who identify as partially or entirely non-human, as well as identifying individuals like Craig Foster, who have expressed interest in being able to possess non-human traits so as to better experience their surrounding environment. An alternate is people like Ian Davis, who had to self-fabricate specialized prosthetics so that he could still work as a fabricator, despite the inherent ableism present in universal designs, such as that of a drill driver. But if I had to pick any individual that best exemplifies the potential of non-human extended body, it would have to be Amy Mullins. In the 1996 Paralympic Games, she set 3 world records via the use of a non-human-based prosthetic, and has gone on to have a successful modeling and public speaking career. I believe that the fact that she's missing legs doesn't make her less abled. It gives her the opportunity to fill that void in her body with any shape or form that she wants, and she actively changes her prosthetics based off of what she needs to do, whether it be running, modeling, or just daily commuting. Compare this to the rather limited functionality of a human leg that takes considerably more time and energy in order to alter its form and capabilities. All of this research, including the research that I have omitted, led me to develop a methodology that I'll be using to set the parameters for what to create with extended and altered body. I'll be using research and predictions made by future casting experts to inform the environment that my design will take place in, and then define scenarios based off of contemporary user experiences that are then reoriented into those future settings. From there, I'll have the parameters for designing whatever suitable extended or altered body that best suits those parameters. This is an example of this methodology in action. Rising sea levels due to climate change will lead to major inland flooding in metropolitan areas. A common practice in those areas, commuting on foot, would then be altered by this change in environment. Now, the easiest solution would be for a user to wear something like a knee-high rubber boot, but that has so many issues of drag and poor footing within a flooded environment. A user's interaction in this new environment would be much slower and more difficult in this new setting compared to the old one. So how can non-human adaptability alleviate this? One solution would be to alter the form of the human leg to match that of a species who has evolved adaptable traits better suited for navigating in an environment like this. A flamingo, whose narrow legs, webbed feet, and other traits make bipedal walking through water much easier. Going forward, I need to identify future casting experts to inform what settings I will be designing within, as well as interviewing individuals about their routines and workflows to understand how it will change when oriented into the new settings identified by future casters. What I would like feedback on now is how effective this new methodology appears and what types of sources should I be looking towards to inform those future settings, and any possible things I might have overlooked in my research.